asked to find out who is holding the deeds to our properties.
You mean your property is on a site?
Yes, there's 29 of us.
Yeah.
Now, we haven't even had the boundary thing done yet, after 14 years, so we can't do anything about deeds, can we?
Neighbour has actually written and asked about this IPT and has got a written answer that it is based on the purchase price of the property at 0.4%.
No, that's illegal.
And most developers charge 0.5%.
It's illegal.
If you can't deal with them legally through the criminal courts, then what's to stop an individual or a collective group dealing with it in a civil matter?
My property are part of his assets, and as such would be in danger of being seized by his debtors if he went belly up.
It's absolutely possible.
Paphos homeowners voicing their concerns and questions over the position of their properties as they wait, some for more than 30 years, for their title deeds. They have reason to be concerned. The financial meltdown, which started in the subprime mortgage crisis in America, has spread all over the globe, hitting Cyprus's key business partner, the UK, particularly hard. The credit crunch has finally arrived in Cyprus. A poor sterling-euro exchange rate has compounded a local slowdown, which is seeing the tourist and development sectors grinding to a halt, with many developers using fully paid-for properties as security against loans. The loss of these people's homes, once a theoretical worst-case scenario, is now a possibility.
I would say to anyone who's considering coming to Cyprus that they should still consider to come to Cyprus. It's a beautiful country. Most of the people are very, very friendly indeed. Low taxation, wonderful weather. But I would ask them to be very, very careful when they're buying a property, especially a new property from a developer. Many of the lawyers work with the developers and not necessarily 100% in the interests of the client.
Dennis O'Hare, spokesperson for the Cyprus Property Action Group, CYPRUS, a pressure group dedicated to creating awareness of the problems buyers may face purchasing property in Cyprus. Working closely with the Cyprus Property Buyers and Owners Association, CYPRUS advises potential property purchasers about a range of local pitfalls. With 100,000 homeowners still waiting for their deeds, this issue is of top concern to CYPRUS. Their aim to work with the government to clean up and protect the Cyprus property sector.
The law in Cyprus, property law, is based on Turkish Ottoman law, clearly, and this means that developers can hold on to the title deeds on houses they've already sold and use those title deeds to obtain mortgages. And this means that if the developer did go bust, then the buyer could be in trouble. Let's hope no one loses their home. But the facts of the matter are that we have had developers going bust. Now, in these situations in the past, when the boom was on, the banks who gave the loans were able to sell those developments on to other developers. In those situations, the original buyers had to pay even more money to the second developer to get their property completed. They'd already paid in full, and then they had to pay another 20,000, whatever, to get it complete. That's the good news. The bad news is these developers won't be able to get loans to buy another developer's site. The whole liquidity is drying up, and in that case, the bank has first call on the property.
CYPRUS regards the bank practice of providing loans on other people's properties as unethical. Lynn TV asked the Association of Cyprus Commercial Banks if it agrees. This issue is handled by the Ministry of the Interior, it told Lynn TV. The banks always conduct business within the legal parameters of the relevant law. If any amendments are affected by the government, then the banks will comply accordingly. Over to the government then, with one of its most precious sectors and that sector's public image under serious threat. Why is it not doing more to address the issue of withheld title deeds?
The developer lobbying power is much greater than our lobbying power. We have to say this. The banks are also lending out massive amounts of money and making lots of profit on the back of what happens here currently. The lawyers, of course, make money out of everyone's misery, so they're perfectly happy for the situation to remain. In actual fact, about 50% of the MPs in Cyprus are also lawyers. And the Minister of the Interior actually told us at a meeting that they want to do things to help the property market, but when they come to Parliament, the developers have got to the MPs and they vote against these measures.
Last months we tried to have a new laws to solve this problem. For the other side, we must say also for the people, especially the foreigners, they buy without want to know about details what they buy. So we have a problem. This problem since many years, and we try to solve with the change of the laws.
Silikiotis could have a point. If you are investing your life savings into a property, is it not wise to read the fine print?
We see people who have left their brains on the plane. They have met someone in a bar. They have trusted them, yet that happens. The problem is there are very few safeguards to protect against that. The other side of the coin, a lot of professional people have settled here in Cyprus. Ex-lawyers from the UK, ex-lawyers from other countries, people who've had high-powered jobs, and even they've fallen into the trap.
CYPRUS is clear about what it wants from the government and believes that its proposal is feasible.
Bank deposits in Cyprus are fully protected, fully guaranteed up to €100,000. What we would like is that the government gives a guarantee to any sales contract that is lodged in the land registry. This seems a reasonable request, and this would put off a lot of the bad publicity about losing your property. Now, okay, they may have to order the banks to write off some of these loans, they may have to stump up some money to pay off the loans themselves, but in terms of this economy and its reliance on property and tourism, this would be a small price to pay.
Increased lobbying at an EU and UK level is triggering media interest in Britain, but CYPRUS is turning away TV production companies and the press, all which want to expose the downside of property dealings in Cyprus.
If they work with us, and we all work together, then we can protect the market. But as yet, we have not been to the international press. They're all knocking on the door at the moment. If we do that, we do irreparable damage to Cyprus, and we don't want to do that.
With the Cyprus government hailing human rights as it tries to tackle its own property issue while Cyprus reunification talks continue, CYPRUS is asking for it to practice what it preaches.
None of this is good for the government of Cyprus, because on the international stage, they are quite rightly, and we'll support them 100% on this, talking about property rights, in terms of the settlement. They're talking about respect for law and order, and they're talking about EU standards of behaviour. Well, we'd like some of those in the Republic, please.